All right, we've got over 100 people already signed on. We have hundreds and hundreds of people signed up for the webinar, which is very exciting. My name is Nancy Hansen. I work in the marketing department at GrowthZone. GrowthZone is a chamber and association management software company. We're located in Chile, Minnesota. And today we're here to talk about the 2023 Chamber Survey results. This is the 9th year we've conducted the survey. We surveyed 474 chamber professionals. That's how many people took our survey, and we compiled the results for the 9th time in a nice report, and that's what we're going to go over today. So in this 1-hour session, we'll share ideas, recommendations, tips, thoughts that we have and thoughts that our professional that I'll be introducing shortly has about what your chamber peers have to say about their challenges, concerns, worries. We'll talk about reinstatement strategies, non-dues revenue sources, a whole lot more. Just a little housekeeping before we begin. Let me share my screen so you can see some of what I'm about to talk about. All right. Hopefully my PowerPoint is showing up for everyone. Today you will receive the recording of today's webinar. You're also going to receive a link to the full chamber survey results report. That will arrive in your email inboxes probably by the end of business today, but we usually say about 24 hours. Now, I would like to introduce our special guest today. Today we have Frank Kenny. Frank Kenny is a successful entrepreneur, a former chamber board member, a board chair, former chamber president, CEO. He's worked with hundreds of chambers over the past 12 years. He facilitates board retreats. He does consulting on social media, digital marketing, and he provides chamber industry training. I'm going to let Frank do a little bit more of his introduction, tell you a little bit more about who he is. But Frank, oh, there you are.
Hello.
Hi, please help me welcome Frank Kenny.
Hey, hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And for those of you from the Chamber Pros Community Facebook group, is the chat working now, Nancy?
It doesn't look like it is. We've got someone in the background working on it, but it feels a little bit weird because usually there's just so much activity with the chat.
Okay.
And they tell us if something's not working or if there's, but Frank, you can see my screen with a picture of you on it and a link to the Facebook group, right?
Yes, and it looks like the chat is working now.
Oh, awesome. That's fantastic. All righty. Frank, do you want to tell us any more about us or tell us a little bit about the Chamber Professionals group?
No, I think we should jump right into this tasty new data you guys are providing us.
All right, that we can do that. All right, so can we see the cover slide of the annual Chamber survey results?
Yep.
Yep, we can see that. All right, so let's jump in. So the first question we asked in our survey of 474 chamber professionals, the first group of questions was centered around membership growth. We asked the professionals about their organizational challenges. What concerns or worries them the most regarding their organization? So some of the top answers were member engagement and retention, growing membership, revenue, budgeting, funding, and of course, time, never enough time, and the economy. Frank, does any of this surprise you?
No, this is stuff we've been hearing for a long time. And if you don't mind, I'll go through each of these kind of really quickly with some strategies here. Member engagement does lead to better retention. So you need member engagement, but you can no longer equate chamber membership with, say, a gym membership. You get out of it what you put into it. That's death because people are so busy nowadays. You got to provide value without participation, engagement without participation. And that's things like making sure they're reading your social media. So you're asking questions and not just blasting people with your social media, but you're engaging people. And same with providing content like videos and articles that they can read. Consumption is engagement. But if you only equate engagement with showing up in person, that ain't going to work anymore. You got to let your members know that you're working for them on housing and workforce development and all these kind of things. And they need to know they're getting value even if they're not showing up in person.
Right.
Number 2 is a growing membership. If it ain't growing, it's dying. So if your chamber's membership has plateaued, you need to figure this out. Like, what's going on here? Because I guarantee you, you're not at 100% market penetration. A lot of chambers are at 30% market penetration. I mean, they got 2/3 of the businesses aren't members. You got to be growing your chamber. That's got to be one of your main goals all the time. And that lends itself to number 3, growing your revenue, growing your budget. So many chambers are like, they're paycheck to paycheck. They're nickel and diming every little tiny thing. They won't spend $1. They want everything free, like free software. What do you got that's free and all this? That's not how a successful business thinks. They think about, where do we need to invest money to make money? And you have a budget that's there for you to spend money to make money and to pay your staff right and to do benefits and all sorts of things. So if your chamber's got this poverty mindset to where you're just like tight as a church mouse, that's a problem. That's not how successful small businesses work. And you're a business, you're not a charity. And then number 4, time, never enough time. I got to tell you, this industry will eat you alive. You cannot work enough to finish your to-do list every day. You could work 24/7 and there would still be stuff to do. So work your 8 hours or whatever your board's paying you and be done. The sun will still come up tomorrow. Everybody will live through the night. You just cannot work yourself to death, and this industry will do that to you. You just got to draw some hard lines, and lo and behold, everything will be okay. And then finally, the economy. None of us are economists. You cannot predict the economy. If you start making decisions based upon the future, you're just playing with fire. Just run your business. Don't worry about the economy. So that's it.
Great, thank you. Great advice. The next question we asked was about their growth challenges. What are your organization's biggest challenges to growing membership? Number 1 response was attracting younger members. Frank, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, if you're not replacing the baby boomers and the Xers that are going to be leaving the industry, their jobs before too long, you're going to die. You're going to wither away. Like a lot of organizations, they're just not attracting young people, and those organizations are dying. And I see a lot of chambers that are saying like, we tried a young professionals, it didn't work. Well, that means you got to try something else. If you cannot get the younger people to join, the end is near.
Yep. How about the second most popular response was lack of employees and staff?
Major issue goes back to budgeting. The chambers try to do it all with as minimum people and budget as they can, and that's a huge mistake. There's so much money to be made, and I know we're going to talk about that further down, but you got to have the right team sitting in the right seats on the bus. And once you get that, everybody's life is better, and you can help your members more. So you cannot run a chamber in, 1 person, 2 people chambers really struggle. It'll eat you alive. You need a team.
All right. And the third growth challenge is lack of a recruitment strategy or plan.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back on the board in some ways. They have a fiduciary duty to grow the chamber, to keep the chamber healthy and things of that nature, but lack of planning. A lot of times the boards don't plan, the staff doesn't plan. Just planning something helps you be a better organization.
And as far as planning goes, doesn't planning and developing a strategy look different for different organizations? I mean, it's not always a written plan. Sometimes it's committee meetings and they plan.
But I think it depends, like a lot of times, on where the staff person came from. Like if they came from a big corporation, they're used to big, giant internal business plans and things of that nature. Or if they came out of government, they're used to the government doing these big old plans. In the chamber industry, it's generally a one-pager. It's kind of, where are we now? We do an inventory so we know where our reality is. Where do we want to be? And then how do we get there is your plan. And you can do this for your overall organization with strategic planning and communication planning and membership growth planning, a retention plan. All of these are one pagers, and it just once a year, think it through.
That's great advice. It doesn't have to be a daunting process.
No.
The number 4 growth challenge reported was difficulty communicating your organization's value.
Yeah, and that's storytelling. People don't know what you're doing. They think you just do events a lot of times. Your parades and pageants and pancake breakfasts, and that's their mentality where, where they got it from a prior chamber or maybe even from your chamber, depending on what you're posting to social media and emailing out and things of the nature. They don't know what you're doing. And so you got to do storytelling. You got to really, if you're going to meetings from sun up to sundown, do your members, does the community know that? Are you telling that story? Document what you're doing and share it through all the means of communication that you have nowadays. Otherwise, people will make it up and they'll think, well, you just do lunches. No, we're working hard for the members, but they don't know that if you don't tell them.
Right. Growth challenge number 5, difficulty reaching prospective members.
Yeah, it's a challenging thing to do nowadays. The marketing is very tough. There's 100 different channels. And the fact is, you got to use especially social media, because that's where people are nowadays, to be, providing value up front, to try to reach people through their friends, like where they comment and like and share the chamber's posts and things of that nature, so that you're activating the membership to be salespeople for you. And they won't do that if you use social media just to blast people with promotions and come to our event. And, if it's all about the chamber, nobody's going to share those posts. You need to make it about the business community and the members and quality of life and things of that nature, to where they actively engage and turn your members, turn your audience into salespeople for you.
All right, those are the growth challenges. So then let's segue into new memberships. Have new memberships increased or decreased since last year? So now we conducted the survey at the end of 2022. So this is a year-over-year question. So new memberships have been reported to have increased by 65%.
Yep, and this is what I'm seeing is it's been good. The pandemic actually was very good for chambers, membership growth-wise and budget-wise, and it's continued. Only 7% of chambers, according to your numbers, are showing a decrease. And so if your chamber, for those of you watching, if you're seeing a decrease in membership, wow, huge red flag. Something's really messed up with your marketing, your retention, your communications, your sales. You got to drop everything and figure out, why are we declining when the 93% of the industry is either holding their own or growing?
Then we flow right into, do you anticipate your membership at year end will show a net increase or decrease over the previous year?
Yeah, and same kind of thing, 91% either are about the same or increased. So if you're declining, there's something wrong. Something's happened with your chamber. You need to figure that out.
Yep. All right, let's talk about renewal rates. About, I would say 80% have a renewal rate that's better than 80% renewal rate. It's a little confusing, but is that in line with what you hear, Frank?
Yeah, if you're in a small or medium-sized chamber where you're in a community, your members, you should be looking at 90% renewal rates. If you may have lost like a chunk because of COVID and pandemic and things of that nature. You can't do anything about that. But if you're seeing less than about a 90% renewal rate, that's a problem. And your retention is the most important number in this industry. If you get a member and you can keep them 3 years, they're going to be a member for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. It's amazing, the model that we have. But if you're seeing it, they're joining and then dropping, that's a major problem. If I was in the 70s, I would drop everything and figure out, what's going on here.
And isn't renewal rate one of the key performance indicators that every chamber should be tracking?
It's the number one. It's the number one thing that you have to know is, if you have a leaky bucket, if you have a hole in your bucket, that's poison in your whole your future prospects, and it's the word of mouth on the street, and the lifetime value of members is so huge that if you can't figure out how to plug those holes, that becomes job one, is figuring out what's going on with our retention. We got to fix that.
All right. And then renewals. Did your overall renewals change over year? So what they're saying here is it's about the same. And to me, that seems indicates a little bit of stagnation.
Well, and most chambers have pretty good renewal rates, 90% plus. And so they're saying it's about the same. It's good and consistent.
Okay.
Gotcha. If you're pushing 95, man, you are rocking and rolling. The ones that are showing a decrease in renewals, that could be that they've sold just a ton of new members, and the first year renewal rate's always lower. So maybe that's it, that, they've been growing so fast, renewal's going to come down. But if they've just been growing kind of steady Freddy, and they're seeing a change in the renewal rates, I would drop everything and figure out what's causing that.
All right. So then that we flow right here into the reasons for non-renewals. Why do you think members don't renew their membership with your organization? There were many reasons, but these are the top 5. The number 1, lack of engagement with the organization.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. If they're not engaged in some way, they're probably going to drop. And so you got to make sure they're getting whatever value it was they're looking for. For some members, they'll never attend an event. Matter of fact, 80% of your members aren't attendees of events, but they need to be engaged in some way. So are they spending money with you to have ads on your website and in your newsletter and your magazine? Are they sponsoring things? Are they involved in committees? In some kind of way, you got to get them engaged. Otherwise, if they're disengaged, they'll drop.
What about the problem everyone has in their lives of lack of time to participate?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that's why you got to value without participation, for sure.
Yep.
And the lack of value we kind of talked about is we have to tell the chamber story. You guys are busy. You're working sun up to sundown. You're thinking about chamber stuff 7 days a week. But do your members really know how hard you're working for them? And usually, no, they don't really know that. Chambers have a hard time communicating that value. You got to become storytellers. You got to become documenters. Tell the chamber story through email, your website, social media, radio if you have a relationship with a radio station. You got to get the word out.
As far as forgetting to renew, I'm every once in a while sneaking over and looking at the chat, and someone asked, what about auto renewal of memberships? Is that a good way to overcome forgetting to renew?
Yeah, forgetting to renew happens a lot, and that's why the number 1 membership growth strategy is to work your old member list. The dropped members are your hottest prospects, because they, maybe times were tight and they had to cut the chamber membership, or maybe they just forgot to pay, or there was a change in accounting firms, and all of a sudden they think they're members. They just forgot, or they'd be glad to be members. They just need to be asked back. So you got to be doing that. But if you can set people up on auto renew, like the Netflix is auto renew, sheesh, everything is auto renew nowadays. Chambers should offer auto renew, either monthly or annually.
When I always equated to a gym membership, I mean, you just pay it and it never really expires. And if a chamber membership can be that way, I mean, people can't forget to renew, and you don't have that hurdle of every year asking them for payment. Number 5, left the profession, industry, or area.
Yeah, not much you can do about that. That's a % or 2 of your attrition.
Yep. So here we're talking about automatic renewals. Does your organization offer automatic credit card renewals of their membership fees? 59% said no.
Yeah, I think it's just the industry is slow to change. But you guys offer this now, right? It's just a click of a button and
we do. It's pretty darn easy to set up. People can set their members up for monthly renewals, annual renewals. Yep, it's a real slick process.
They should turn that on, no doubt.
Yep. And then for those people who do offer automatic renewals, do they offer monthly, annual, or both? So 45% offer both the option of annual or monthly payments.
I would try to move every member into that eventually. It'll take a while. Some corporations can't do it at all, but if you can get the majority of your members on auto renewal, your retention rate will improve.
Makes sense. Reinstatement practices. Do you have a formal reinstatement initiative in place to re-engage members that you lost in the previous year? You just talked a little bit about that. 80% said no, they do not.
Yeah, you just need to have a meeting, sit down, print out everybody that's been a member in the past 10 years that's not a member now, and figure out how you're going to go win them back.
When you get the full report to the survey results, you'll see that here and there we've got some pro tips on, you know, tools to grow your chamber, and then it links out to some more resources. So you'll see that. We're not going to go over that today though. The next section that we're going to cover are values and policies. Here was the question. Do you believe members clearly understand the value of your organization and the specific solutions you offer them? 59% said yes, but that means almost 40% aren't sure or think no.
Yeah, and I'm surprised at the 59. Maybe if you add, you do have clearly understand. I don't think the members in most chambers really get all the chamber is doing for them behind the scenes. I'm surprised the number is as high as it is.
Okay. And so would you say that this goes back to what you were saying is, you know, on social media and different places where you can talk about what you're doing as a chamber, talk about how you're helping the members and the community, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay. Does you that you use regularly? 65% no, they don't. And then 16% say it's in development.
Yeah, this is definitely a trend in the industry. You want to be an organization that is seen as modern. And if you're not doing diversity and equity, inclusion, all these kind of things, I think that's a mistake. You should reflect your community diversity-wise, and you probably need a plan in place to do that.
And there are lots of experts who can help with that sort of initiative.
Absolutely.
Number 3, innovation and initiatives. Does your organization currently have a formal innovation process or plan to pursue new ideas for adding value to your members' business? 74% nope, they don't have a process in place.
Yeah. So this is, again, is where you get together as a team, as a staff, and you say, all right, what are we going to do to make sure that we're an innovative organization? It would be things like putting a budget line for taking chances, taking risks. You know, some amount of money is available for somebody that wants to try something new. And if it works, you celebrate them. And if it doesn't work, you celebrate them, because you want to you want the culture of the organization to be one of innovation and risk taking. But you got to think this through. The board needs to know that you're going to go down this path. So they're going to have to approve that budget line.
We've got some more content. We've got a whole bunch of chamber idea books out on our website. So once you get the full report, you can check those out. Next, we'll talk about membership and engagement. Did overall member engagement change year over year? So about 85% said it's about the same or better. Frank, what do you think about that?
The pandemic times turned out to be the most kind of the silver lining of it was we were engaging members like no other. I mean, it really, the engagement level with members skyrocketed during the pandemic. And this shows that it's continued. So it's a real blessing, and we got to stay out there and keep on engaging the members.
All right. Do you have a written plan for increasing member engagement, and maybe a formal plan or some sort of plan? But 78% said nope.
Yeah, you got to have these meetings. You got to get this stuff down on paper. It makes you think through what you're going to do, and it gets buy-in. Everybody starts rowing in the same direction. Very important to do these things.
Are these the sort of things, when you talk about these plans, do you pull your board in? Do you do it first, then present it to your board? Do you collaborate with your board? Do you have any advice on that?
Well, I would keep it staff driven for the most part. This is in the weeds stuff. You don't want the board chiming in on this minutiae type stuff. If you want to form a committee and work with a committee that's going to be helping you with membership or marketing, that's fine. But mostly I'd like to see this staff driven.
All right, good advice, great advice. Okay, this is interesting to me. Why do members join your organization? Number one, to grow their network.
Yep, people join for connections. They say that and then they don't attend events or luncheons and things of that nature, so it's frustrating. So you still got to connect them with each other as in any way that you can. It's the member-to-member connection is really the secret sauce in the industry. If you haven't read Seth Godin's book, Tribes, talks about that. So read Tribes by Seth Godin. But yeah, people join to become known and to know other people. So I'm not surprised to see that at all.
All right. And a little bit similar, number two is visibility within their community or profession.
Yep, they want to have people in the community aware of their business. If you're into tiered dues, if you go on tiered dues, your lowest tier is probably the networking tier. They don't have a lot of money, but they have time for networking events. Well, people graduate from tier 1 to tier 2, which is they spend money to make money. They're willing to purchase ads on your website and your newsletter, email blasts, and your maps, things of that nature. So, or sponsor things. They're trying to purchase awareness. So I'm not surprised to see that there.
Okay. Why do members join your organization? Number three, to build credibility in their community or profession.
Yeah, the Shapiro study, if you're not familiar with that, you can Google it, but the Shapiro study showed that just by joining the chamber, you become more credible in the eyes of the community. And so I just saw somebody had a plaque on their wall that they're a chamber member, and it was from years and years ago. But this business highlighted this plaque on the wall that they were a member of the chamber. And you do that because it makes your business more trustworthy. And so I'm not surprised to see that on there as number three.
All right. And number four, to attend events, trade shows, conferences.
Yeah, that's related to number one. They want to be seen and meet people.
Yep. And then number five, to support the mission of your organization.
Yep. And this is actually the most important one to me because if you think in terms of tiered dues, the two lowest tiers of networking and awareness, those people want return on investment from their membership. They want to know that if they pay $300, they're going to get 500 back. At the other end of the higher level of tiers are people that want to do things through the chamber. They want to work on quality of life issues, good schools, good roads, good hospitals, workforce development, affordable housing, all these kind of things. And so that's the ones that join to support your mission. And that's where the big money is. This is the members that'll write the big checks.
And that leads us to, do you have a defined strategy for recruiting and retaining young professionals? 80% no, we do not.
Yep, and we've talked about this earlier. If you cannot recruit the younger people and get them involved and you get them to where, you know, it's a habit to attend the chamber events or to be involved with the chamber and the various committees and the work you're doing. You know, if you wait until they're in the 35, 40, 45-year-old and then try to go, hey, you should join the chamber, that's a little late in a lot of circumstances. I mean, mom and dad that own the business have retired. The younger ones, they don't know what the chamber is or does. They assume it's grandpa's chamber. That's a huge missed opportunity. You have to, and I'm seeing this with a lot of chambers, that people they're hiring are in their 20s and early 30s. Those people, they use tools different than older people do. They speak a different language than older people do. And so those people help you communicate with the other 20-year-olds and 25-year-old business owners or people that are entrepreneurial and things of that nature. They don't want to be involved with 50 and 60-year-old old white men smoking cigars and, you know, the stereotypical old guy's chamber. They want to know somebody's working on projects and things that's good for the community, that's, you know, really trying to give back and help everybody out. And, you know, it's just a different language. And you need those young people on staff and on your board and in your membership, or else your chamber's just going to age out.
That's right. All right, the next section, revenue. Dues and non-dues revenue. In an average year, approximately how much of your total revenue comes from non-dues sources as a percentage? So non-dues, as far as our survey respondents, it's 45%. Dues, it's 55%. Frank, what do you think of that split?
I'm not surprised by it. I've seen other numbers that says that in general dues are 50%. 50% dues, 50% non-dues is a very solid, stable organization. My take, though, is that chambers are leaving a lot of money on the table if they're only at 50% non-dues revenue. And dues, to be a member of a chamber is not very expensive. So if you add up, how much your dues are times how many members you have, it's not that big of a number. And that means that, yeah, you're bringing in some good, solid, steady, consistent money because retention's 90%. That's good, solid, consistent money. But you can't do much with it beyond keeping the lights on and paying the salary, the staff a decent salary, hopefully a decent salary and some benefits. If you don't have non-dues, you really can't do big things. And I think a lot of chambers, they're really not maximizing at all their non-dues revenue side. Now, I have seen some chambers that they have huge events and things of that nature. They're 80% non-dues revenue. And that gets a bit risky because, like, what if the event has a problem? You can't get your license, or it rains out, or whatever it happens to be. It destroys your organization because you were so event heavy. So you got to find a balance there. But if you're at around 50-50, I think you're leaving money on the table.
If you were to put a number on it, I mean, I'm very goal oriented and I like to know what kind of numbers I'm shooting for. Do you think there's a particular balance across the board, or does it really depend on the chamber?
Yeah, it's pretty variable.
Okay.
It's pretty variable. I couldn't really put a number without studying. I've seen chambers that their dues level, they haven't raised dues in 10 years. They're dirt cheap. They have 100 members that are paying the non-profit rate of $50 a year or some ridiculous amount. And their dues amount, they're bringing in $20,000-$30,000 from dues. It's just a ridiculously small number to run a business. Well, they're going to have to bring in just a ton of non-dues revenue to even be a viable organization. So you really got to look at the complete picture to figure this out.
All right. So the top non-dues revenue sources. Number one, events. That's probably no surprise, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I work with chambers that, $100,000 of net profit from an annual event, 200, 400,000 the net profit from annual events. There is a lot of money to be made from events, but they take up an immense amount of staff time and volunteer time, and it's a two-edged sword. So, but events is where the big money is, and sponsorships is number two, and a big chunk of the event money is sponsorships. And then number three is surprising to me a bit. Grants. I am seeing chambers get grants, but they're generally not big money grants. And even the smaller money ones take a lot of staff time. They're reporting back on the grant and things of that nature. And the money is not dependable year after year after year after year. So I like grants. I like free money, but I think it's a real two-edged sword.
Fundraising and advertising.
Fundraising, I'm not really sure if that's like where that, I'm not sure about that number. I'd like to look at your data closer to see that number. Advertising wise, yeah, chambers should be making pretty good money from the website. Do you guys still have that thing where you'll call the members of a chamber and offer them ads in the member directory?
We can hook them up with people who do that, and okay. They can run their own program too, where they have banner ads on their member directory across their website. Yep, there's all kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, that's free money, and the members love it because they want. I think a big problem in the chamber industry is a lot of people think the dues is like the end goal. And that's just the entry. The $200 in dues, that's nice. That keeps the lights on. If you add all the dues together, that keeps the lights on. But members want more than that. They want to be on your website with a link back to their website. That's worth $500 if they were to hire an SEO company to generate that link. That's a valuable link. And so the members want a banner ad in your member directory, which probably gets a ton of traffic. I've looked at the Google Analytics for a lot of chamber websites, and the directory pages get a ton of traffic. And so you should monetize those. And I like a once a week e-blast that's just a real clean kind of thing, to where it's one member pays $100 or $200 for a single e-blast that goes out to the members, and just one a week, so you don't kill your open rates and click-through rates and things of that nature. But people want to spend more money with the chamber. They want to be on your maps. They want to be in your printed pieces. I've seen chambers where the members' names are on the wall of the boardroom, and you pay big money for that kind of association with the chamber. Members want to spend money through the chamber, and so don't stop. Just if you get a membership sale, that's just the first sale. A buyer is a buyer is a buyer. Sell them more and more and more, and retention goes up. The more money they spend with you, the higher the retention rate's going to be with you.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, yeah. Did you or do you plan to raise your membership dues in 2022? So remember, this was conducted at the end of 2022, but the answer was 57% said no, they don't plan to raise their membership dues. Frank, what do you think about that?
Well, I think the strategy should be a very small increase every year, just to keep up with inflation, what used to be standard inflation. So a 2 or 3% every year. You don't have to tell your members you've raised the dues. Just send out the invoice. It's $3, $5, $7 more or something. And so they'll just pay it. You'll get, almost never will you get a complaint, unless you wait 10 years and do a 25% increase with no additional benefits or anything, and you blindside them with that. Then you're going to get some phone calls and maybe some drops. Probably not many, though. So I like the small consistent rather than wait 10 years and then do a big one.
Okay, so if you plan to or did increase your dues, by what percentage did you plan to raise dues? Most were saying about 3 to 5%. Is that kind of in that sweet spot,
Yeah.
Frank? Okay.
Yeah, that is. And I wouldn't really worry about it. The economy, we're going into a recession. That's actually a very good thing for a chamber of commerce, in that the members are worried about the economy. They're worried about potentially we're going into a recession. I should say I see different opinions every day on this, but I think all the members are worried about the economy, what's happening with the economy. And so from a chamber's perspective, this is a good thing, because your members are thinking, I need the chamber now. They're going to save me money through their member-to-member programs, or they're going to save me money through various other kind of things. They're going to keep me appraised of what's going on with grants and other things. If a member is just rocking and rolling, they're growing like a weed, they don't need the chamber as much. It's when they're worried about the future that they need the chamber. And so this is actually a good time for chambers. I suspect, if we go into a recession, it's going to surprise a lot of chambers, but you're going to grow if the members know and the prospects know that you have solutions for them, that you can help them make more money, save money, or work on bigger quality of life issues.
And laying down.
I'll just finish my thought here. I know of a chamber that said, you know what, we're not going to raise dues this year because the economy. I think that's a mistake.
Well, and laying down the framework now as far as what the chamber offers and how they can help and all of those things now, before things perhaps get tough. I mean, what a great time right now to do that.
Yeah.
A little cross promotion, send you to, we've got a blog specifically geared toward people in the membership profession. So once you get the report, you'll have that link. And then just a little bit at the end here about the respondents to the survey. So we sent the survey out, we cast a wide net. It's not just to the people who use our products here at GrowthZone, but people who don't use our products, people who do use our products, but they had to be in the chamber industry. And 474 chamber professionals responded to the survey. So that the data we just reviewed is from those 474 chamber professionals. Then we have a little bit of information about them, about their approximate annual operating budgets. So over 50% of them have a budget under $250,000. Frank, does this, anything about this? Do you have any comments about any of this?
No, but I will throw out some data that I discovered through Institute, IOM, in partnership with ACCE. They did, and you could probably Google the this report, but they said as a round number, as a rule of thumb, that your budget should be around $1,000 in dues and non-dues revenue per member per year. So if you have 200 members, your budget should be around 200,000. And I got to tell you, when I work with a lot of chambers, they're at 80,000, where the average is 200,000. And if you're think about your chamber, what's your membership? Are you at 350 members? A $350,000 budget, dues, non-dues, would be pretty darn healthy. So, but I'm not surprised. I mean, most chambers in the U.S., there's 7,000 chambers in the U.S. according to ACCE, and most of them are small, medium. So I'm not surprised by the numbers. Does GrowthZone help even the largest of chambers, the big major metros?
Oh, absolutely. We have customers or users of our product who, the small chambers all the way up to the very large. And because there's different packages within the software that you can subscribe to, maybe the larger chambers will have a different subscription package. But yep, we serve them all. I heard that we're at over 3,000 U.S. chambers use our products.
That's great. Yeah, I used to use them when I ran my chamber back in the day.
Anticipated membership of the people who took our survey, most of them, about half of them have between 201 and 500 members. So we're looking at people who took the survey from, very small to kind of mid to bigger size chambers.
Yeah. But it looks to me like a lot of them aren't reaching that benchmark of $1,000 per member per year. And that's the average. And if you think about things that average out on when you think about, oh, the industry average is X, well, that's kind of like the floor to me of what an organization should be satisfied with. It's like, well, we're average, but I'm not satisfied with average. I want to be 25% above average or something like that. So, for those of you that are kind of doing the math on your budget and things of that nature, don't be satisfied with average. The chamber business model is amazing. And I don't think a lot of people really appreciate that, it's like a third of businesses will join the chamber because it's the right thing to do. It's like we still have that brand is still beloved. And a lot of people, even if they really can't get any direct benefit from membership, they'll still join because they support the mission. They want to see you successful. And another third of members will join if somebody asks them to join. It just takes a little salesmanship. They need to be explained that if you pay $500, you're going to get $1,000 back. Or if you join the chamber, we can help you recruit new employees. Whatever their hot button is. And then another third of businesses probably won't join no matter what. They're just not joiners, or for whatever reason. We found that you cannot get 100%. The most I've ever seen is 80% market penetration. So the chambers in most of the country have a lot of room to grow, especially geographically. We don't have to represent just this little tiny community. Our citizens shop in the wider area, and people want to reach your citizens. Your members are the businesses, but you represent your community. And so if people from out of the area want to give your chamber money, through membership or through sponsorships or in various kind of ways, because you're solving community problems, there is a lot of money to be made. I'm yet to see a chamber that has maxed out revenue. Most chambers could probably double their revenue, unless they've been an extraordinarily well-run chamber for a lot of years. I'm not afraid to say that I think most chambers could probably double their revenue if they were bent on maximizing revenue, but most chambers aren't. They're willing to work themselves to death almost for a pittance. The staff is underpaid. There's limited benefits, and the turnover in this industry is just so bad. It's like every time you turn around, we lose another friend from the industry. And a lot of times it's board members even, picking away our employees and paying them what they deserve. Well, the chamber could do that. The chamber business model, you're sitting on gold mines. You just haven't, in the vast majority of chambers, just haven't tapped into it. So I went on a bit of a rant there, Nancy.
No, it's a good, informative rant. It very much appreciated rant. Well, how about we do this? I'm going to quick scan the comments and maybe we can answer a couple questions. But before we do that, I want to suggest that if you have questions for Frank, or if you have questions about the survey data, or if you want to submit something, we are going to go through the chat, and between Frank and I, we will answer every question. Frank agreed to that before we started today. I'm not putting him on the spot.
Yeah.
Put your questions in the chat, or if you're more comfortable, feel free to send questions that you have to marketing@growthzone.com, and then I'll forward. We'll forward what needs to go to Frank, what needs to stay with us, and get your questions answered. But I'm going to try to read through the comments and see if I can see anything other than the most common question with every webinar I've ever attended. Is it being recorded? Will we get a copy of the webinar? Yes, we are recording today. We plan to send a link to everyone who registered. They'll get a link to the recording. They'll also get a link to the full survey results report.
Good.
So let's see. Oh, what a nice compliment.
Did I ring a bell with some people?
This one from Pat. We raised dues by nearly 15% last year because we hadn't done any dues increase in 8 years. We only had a few drops,
Nice.
but lots of questions.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. What I hate to see, and you'll see this in the Facebook group where people ask for letters. What's a letter we can send to our members that tell them we're raising dues? And usually 85% of the responses is, don't send that letter. Why bring it up? Your insurance company, I just paid my truck auto insurance. It went up. They didn't tell me in advance they were going to raise it, but I mean, that's just business. The cable, everything, they raise your rates on a regular basis over numbers of years, and you just pay it. And it's the same in the chamber industry. You do not need to announce that we're raising dues. Just raise the dues.
There's a question here about what are the top key performance indicators? I think early on in this session, was the renewal rates that we talked about was one of them? Was that
retention is the number one thing that I look at. Retention, and then growth, and then those industry benchmarks. You know, one that really is a lot of people don't know, and there's a little disagreement on this number, but for me, the number is 150 members will support one full-time paid staff person. So if you have a membership of 450, you should have 3 full-time paid employees. And I see chambers with 500-600 members with 1 or 1.5 employees, and that's just ridiculous. You can't do it. And so there's all sorts of different numbers, and you can kill yourself measuring numbers. So don't try to measure everything. And don't really get too concerned about the glamour numbers, like number of likes on our Facebook page and things of that nature. I like things that translate into money. So the size of your email list is money in the bank. Once you get somebody on your email list that's not a member, or, you know, of course you have all the members on your email list, but are you growing your list beyond the members? I always look at that because that's money in the bank. Membership growth, event attendance, you got to keep a good eye on. There's all sorts of numbers. You can email me if you want to ask other questions on that.
Here's a question from one of the participants. Would giving a member discount for auto renewing, is it worth it? Do you need to give a discount for that?
No. And I don't like member discounts for any reason whatsoever. I like to take away bonuses. If you're looking for something to add scarcity to the sales pitch, or, you know, fear of loss, which is really smart, you should always have some kind of, people will not buy today if they get buy tomorrow and get the same deal. That everybody procrastinates if that's the case. So it's good to always add scarcity to your membership offer. So join the chamber today, get, you know, for $200 and get $200 credit for advertising that expires Monday is really, really good. Saying join the chamber today for $150 instead of 200 is really, really bad. Don't do that.
So giving them a little bit more instead of discounting.
Yeah, take away bonuses, but never discount your core value.
Okay. Another question, do you have an opinion about passing along credit card fees to the member when they pay by credit card?
I think it's just a cost of doing business. I don't do that with my business, and it's a big number. At the end of the year, I look at that number and it's big, but it's just the cost of doing business. And I think in some states it's illegal to pass that on. And I also don't like it when chambers charge an administration fee for signing up as a member. That creates friction. If that just makes a small percentage of people hesitate, then it's done more harm than good. So no administration fees, and don't pass on credit card fees, in my opinion.
All right. I think we're at a point where we maybe will close up this session soon here. Just a reminder that this webinar was sponsored by GrowthZone software. If you would like to learn more about how GrowthZone software can help your chamber grow membership, grow productivity, increase engagement, go to our website, growthzone.com, get a one-to-one demo, or just view a no commitment product tour. We've got several videos out there that talk about the product. If you haven't yet, which I'm hoping everyone here has already done so, join Frank's Facebook group for chamber professionals. What did we say the number was at the beginning, Frank? 7,000 some people are members?
10,700 chamber professionals from around the world in there. It's a pretty vibrant group. Do you guys like the group? Put in the chat area if you enjoy, get value from being in the Facebook group. Love the group, love it, love it, love it. Yes, love it. I love it.
Oh, that's cool. Fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, thank you for attending this session. We love providing this kind of information for people in the chamber industry. And so keep a lookout on our social media, keep a lookout in Frank's group for the offerings that he has, for the offerings that we have at GrowthZone. And with that, remember, you can submit questions to marketing@growthzone.com, or we'll leave the chat on for a little while. And thank you, Frank. We just so appreciate you participating with us on this.
My pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Take care, Nancy.
Bye-bye.